Hello, we are
Kenya Mendoza.
and Aaron Gonzalez. This is our documentary, Facing Genocide.
Today we're going to talk about the Holocaust, genocide, and how this impacted Germany. To know more about this topic, a brief explanation of genocide is massive killing. This massive killing can be categorized in many parts. This was targeted to a specific group such as religion, sexuality, gender, age, and race, which we can say that Jews were the target of Hitler causing this genocide.
Now on to terms to understand. One term is extermination, which means to kill or get rid of a whole group of people or animals. A second term to know is anti-Semitism, which means to be hostile or discriminative against Jews as a religion, racial, or ethnic group. For the third term is prejudice. It means to have a biased belief that isn't based on an actual reason or experience. For our last term, it's stereotypes, which means to have a widely held but fixated idea of a particular type of person or thing. Nazi racial ideology was a belief that the world was divided into competing inferior and superior races, each struggling for survival and dominance. Successful race maintained racial purity and reproduced to expand and strengthen the race nation, and conquer territory and resources at the expense of inferior races. In the Nazis' eyes, Jews were not religious domination, but a dangerous non-European race.
The first stage is classification. This stage was used to classify the people in Germany and differentiate the people based on their physical appearance and beliefs. This was connected to the genocide because during their time, Jews were starting to get excluded. They weren't allowed to be in certain places such as parks, restaurants, etc. For example, kids that were Jews, they had to get out of public school to go to private schools to not have any problems with other kids.
For our second stage, we chose symbolization. This stage was about visualizing the divisions and creating social classifications, such as the tiers made up by the wealthy.
Our third stage is discrimination. This stage was about refusing to exclude groups, social and legal benefits and rights that Jews used to have before it was removed from them. This stage connects to the genocide because Jews were extremely discriminated to the point that it was normal for Germany to be so rude towards them and taking all their rights that they had.
Our fourth stage is dehumanization. This stage is when groups of people don't give another group of people the rights to humanity and blame them for all of their problems. Some dehumanizers are slave owners and camp leaders.
Our fifth stage is organization. This stage was important because that's when the military started to organize and train their army to take action against those excluded groups. They started spying, arresting, which the suffering for Jews was barely starting. This connects to the genocide because this was one of the most important things that the military had to do in order to kill the Jews and have a successful goal according to them.
The sixth stage is polarization. This is a stage about propaganda when leaders of minority who were arrested in giving to the power of the dominant group. One leader of this stage was Hitler and how he used his own power for his own beliefs.
The seventh stage is preparation. This was when the final solution was made. All the troops in the military were making plans on how to proceed with their ethnic cleansing. Propaganda is starting to increase to the point that was extremely severe in Germany. This stage connects to the genocide because the military was making big moves on Germany in order to make Jews disappear and accomplishing Hitler's orders.
Our eighth stage is persecution. This stage was about being forced to the camps to starve, separate, placed in the ghetto, or in the middle of a mass shooting, such as the Jews were during the Holocaust.
The ninth stage is called extermination. This was one of the most tragic parts of the genocide. This was an execution of the propaganda. According to them, victims are not deserving of lives or being treated as humans. All ages and genders were targeted. Tens of thousands of murders every day are becoming a norm to the point that all bodies are destroyed. This stage connects to the genocide because Hitler started to kill all the Jews and wanted to leave no trace of them in Germany.
Our last stage is denial. This stage is about refusing to believe what they witnessed actually happened, or trying to make excuse for why it happened instead of accepting the truth. An example of person in denial were the Nazis. Another genocide was the Great Purge. The Great Purge was when Stalin used the death of Sergei Kurov to make it happen. And about 1 million people were killed. The most were arranged to die by Stalin. The Great Purge started August 1936 and ended November 17, 1938, in the Soviet Union. The purge was caused by Stalin because he wanted to eliminate challenges from the past and potential opposition groups.
This whole topic is important to talk about nowadays due to all the racism and discrimination that all races receive from others. This happens to all ages as well. This leads to depression and other mental problems that we develop as we start to worry about those things that we get told. It's important to reduce this and to have a better society and have a better reputation of ourselves, and always think twice before we act if we are going to hurt someone mentally or physically. Something that we can do as a society to make sure a genocide doesn't happen again is by addressing the main root causes of violence and conflicts, intolerance, racism, discrimination, and a culture of dehumanization that takes entire groups of people of their dignity and rights. In summary, talking things first and not by causing big wars, which that's something that we see often with other countries. They decide to clear things by blood and not by voice. This is significant for humanity because we all have feelings and we all deserve respect. Taking a small step forward can make a big difference in our society and have a better perspective of ourselves as more humans that we are. This genocide is a big example of how we can change in our society and look at each other with the same value and worth that we all have.
In conclusion, this is our documentary about facing genocide. We hope you learned something valuable and you take your own action when it's needed.
Three.
Thank you.